Hello, this is Rich and Poor, a channel all about money. Japan's housing prices and rents are soaring. There's a group of people in Tokyo who, for various reasons, choose internet cafes as their monthly accommodation. Some of them have lived in these places for 5 years. On the streets of Tokyo, there are several internet cafes hidden in high-rise buildings. Some people consider a cubicle in the internet cafe their temporary residence. Whenever night falls, these, who make internet cafes their homes, return to their rooms. These people are called net cafe refugees. This term is used to refer to people who don't have a fixed residence, but live in internet or manga cafes. You may find it hard to believe, because who would want to live in a place like an internet cafe? However, although the space in an internet cafe in Japan is not as large and comfortable as a regular apartment, it still has water to wash their hands, electricity, and internet access, and the price is also low. Because of this, many foreign backpackers or people who travel for a short time choose to stay at an internet cafe near the station for one night. In an internet cafe's small cubicle, all you have available is one lamp, a computer, a pillow, and a mattress. So it can be a good option for someone who just wants to stay for a day or two. But for the net cafe refugees, these places become their homes, where they end up living for months or even years. In today's video, we are going to talk about this issue and why Japanese workers who have an income choose to stay in internet cafes instead of renting their own houses or apartments. As we mentioned, net cafe refugees are people who have no fixed place of residence and stay in internet cafes for a long time. Due to various reasons, such as delays in rent payment, family, and other personal reasons, they can't live in their own homes or rent an apartment, so they end up turning to 24-hour internet cafes or manga cafes. The term net cafe refugee originated from a documentary series on Nippon TV in 2007. Its producer, Hiroaki Mizushima, who has a lot of experience interviewing refugee camps, after returning to Japan, he interviewed young people who have lived in internet cafes for a long time. With this, he revealed that internet cafes in these metropolises are like another form of a refugee camp. In the documentary, we are introduced to a young Japanese security guard. After arriving in Tokyo, he found out that not only is the rent expensive, but expenses such as utility bills are also a big problem. Out of desperation, he resorted to an internet cafe. When he comes back from work, he can use the computer to play games and relax. In the morning, he gets dressed, walks out of the small cubicle, and goes to work. He hopes to learn more skills and get a full-time job so that he can leave the internet cafe as soon as possible. After the documentary was broadcast, net cafe refugees became a hot topic in Japanese society during that year. You're probably asking yourself, aren't net cafe refugees just homeless people? Most net cafe refugees are motivated to find jobs, but most of them work in jobs that pay them daily. They usually exchange emails with a manpower agency to get a temporary job for the day. These jobs give them small incomes, so they have to stay at internet cafes or 24-hour shops during the night, which makes them different from homeless people, who are generally considered too old to find a job or aren't interested in finding one. During the day, some net cafe refugees carry large backpacks to work. They look exactly like an ordinary Japanese office worker, but they are carrying all their belongings in a bag without the boss and colleagues knowing about it. Basically, they commute with all their belongings from the internet cafe to work every day. Nippon TV reported that about 80% of these long-term residents of internet cafes are men, and 20% are women, all aged between 30 and 49 years old. 80% of them want a long-term residence. The program also mentioned that the monthly cost of living in an internet cafe is about 59,310 yen. Although the space is small, the facilities provide you with everything you need, and the cost also includes water, electricity, and other expenses. If you need to use the shower room or washing machine, you're charged about 309 yen per hour. According to a 2018 survey by the newspaper Nikkei Shimbun, about 15,300 people are living in internet cafes every day in Tokyo. Among them, about 4,000 people don't have a fixed residence, and more than 70% of them have unstable jobs. Nikkei Shimbun also asked people why were they living in internet cafes. The majority, 37.1% of people, answered that they were traveling or on a business trip and decided to spend the night there. Another 25.8% had no other place to stay, and 13.1% stated that they were working or having fun until late, so they lost the last train and couldn't go home. Lastly, 5.9% say they had other reasons for not wanting to go home. Why are there so many net cafe refugees in Japan? The major reason is poor economic conditions. In 2016, the Tokyo Metropolitan Government conducted the first survey on people who lost their residence, such as net cafe refugees in Tokyo. The result showed that every day there are about 4,000 homeless people. Among them, 38.6%, which is the most significant percentage, are between 30 and 39 years old. This group is followed by people who are between 50 and 59 years old, who compose a total of 28.9%. Among them, nearly half of the people have a monthly income between 110,000 and 150,000 yen. You may be asking yourself if such a salary shouldn't be enough to rent an apartment. The thing is, in Japan, when you rent an apartment, in addition to paying the first rent, you also need to pay the caution money, key money, and brokerage fees. The caution amount is usually equivalent to 1 or 2 rents, and it's a normal deposit to prevent tenants from breaking things in the apartment. Besides these costs, there is also a tradition that has been handed down since World War II, which consists of giving the value of 1 or 2 months' rent in a red envelope to the landlord as a way of thanking him for letting you stay at the apartment. This money is called gift money. In addition to some insurance premiums and miscellaneous expenses that must be paid, even if you save up to 200,000 yen, it won't be enough, especially with Tokyo's higher rent prices. Therefore, people with poor financial conditions can only live in internet cafes. However, lack of money isn't the only reason. The interviewed internet cafe manager said that actually many customers can afford to rent an apartment, but compared to Tokyo's rents, the monthly fee of internet cafes is very cost-effective, and you don't have to pay for gas, electricity, caution, and other fees. A Japanese office worker who lives in an internet cafe also said that instead of spending time commuting to work, it's easier to live in an internet cafe close to the company. Not only that, some people have become internet cafe refugees because they have bad relationship with their families and choose to run away from home, and they also don't have money. The second reason is related to job instability. The report shows that more than 70% of net cafe refugees don't have stable jobs. This is related to the atypical employment system that is becoming prevalent in Japan, commonly known as the temporary staffing system. After the burst of Japan's bubble economy in the 90s, Japan's economy took a downturn, causing the collapse of the system that guaranteed lifetime employment and career promotions. To reduce expenses, companies began to outsource personnel and sign contracts with temporary staffing services companies to dispatch workers. The new system saves companies money. They don't have to pay employment insurance or any additional expenses. On the other hand, the work of temporary workers is unstable and insecure. Many of these workers have no idea what the next job will be and where, so it's harder for them to settle down somewhere. It's more convenient for them to stay in an internet cafe, which gives them more flexibility, as they have the choice to leave whenever they want. The process of becoming a net cafe refugee has stages. In the beginning, it may have been because people were laid off or didn't have a job and couldn't pay the rent, or they were unwilling to return to their homes, so they chose an internet cafe as a temporary shelter. Then, as they couldn't find a good job, the time spent in the internet cafe gradually lengthens from 1 month to 1 year to 2 years. Although Japan's labor dispatch law is being improved, The protection of the rights and interests of dispatched workers has been gradually strengthened. Soon, there won't be a daily employee dispatch, which only lets you know where you'll be working on the previous day. However, as time goes on, it will be even more difficult to improve the workplace ecology of temporary dispatch work. However, due to the impact of the new COVID pandemic, during the past 2 years, the number of confirmed cases in Japan has remained high. The Tokyo metropolitan government announced in early April that 3 types of shops had to be closed to reduce person-to-person contact. These were the confined, dense and close contact shops, which include bars, izakayas, and of course, internet and manga cafes. For the net cafe refugees who already had a difficult life, this made it even more difficult. This group of net cafe refugees, called lost and unsettled workers by the government, had no choice but to find another place to live or stay at a friend's house. However, during the pandemic, everyone was afraid of contracting the virus, so many people couldn't find a place to live temporarily. As a result, many were forced to live on the streets. Although the Tokyo metropolitan government has tried to provide solutions to serve as temporary houses for these now homeless people, such as arranging apartments, public housing, hotels, etc., there was a lot of bureaucracy involved, and many couldn't apply. The emergence of net cafe refugees is a reflection of the difficulties of the bottom layer of the labor market in Japan today. When more and more companies began to replace regular employees with cheap temporary workers, these people gradually became second-class citizens. These people don't have money to pay rent and have to live in 24-hour internet cafes. Alright, that's all for this video of Rich and Poor. If you are interested in this topic, please comment and share your views. If you like our channel, please subscribe, like and share it. See you in the next video. Bye!